Hey guys, what's up? Today, I know I'm a bit late on this, but I wanted to take the time right now to talk about the Nintendo Switch Lite. This was revealed not too long ago, maybe a week or two ago from Nintendo. The Nintendo Switch Lite is going to be the next, the first really revision of the Nintendo Switch. So it's pretty big, because obviously Nintendo's big system right now is, well, the 3DS. The Nintendo Switch, and they're phasing out the 3DS, so this is basically the next big thing. And it's kind of interesting. So I'm just going to say right now, the one question I know I'm going to get asked, whether I answer it or not, is going to be, Ziploc, are you going to buy a Nintendo Switch Lite when it launches or at any point in time? Are you going to buy one? I'm just going to answer that right now. No. I'm going to get into why I'm not going to do that in this video, but I just wanted to take this video, take time right now to talk about some stuff dealing with the Nintendo Switch Lite, what we know so far, and why I'm not going to buy one. So, hope you all enjoy the video, and we're just going to spend this time talking about the Switch Lite. So obviously it's pretty big. It's the first, revision of the Switch other than just the main model. The gray and the neon Joy-Con set, which is the only difference really between the two, is that they just have different colored Joy-Cons, so they're not really even different. Alright, throat gets a little dry when I don't drink something and I talk for long amounts of time, so sorry about that. But, what we know so far is there are 3 colors to the Nintendo Switch Lite. Well, I guess I'll talk first about the name. I really like the name. Lite rather than the Switch Mini, which is what a lot of people were speculating it was going to be. And I'm glad they didn't do that, because the name Mini, when you just hear that, it instills this idea of being inferior to the normal Switch. So I'm glad they went the Lite route, what they did with the Game Boy and the DS. I never owned either of those Lite models, but I love the names for them, and I thought they worked pretty well. So I like the Nintendo Switch Lite. I like that name way better than the Switch Mini. The colors that this is going to come in. So far we know there's a gray color, which I guess is just the standard color, not really even a color. There's this yellow color, and then there's like this teal bluish, greenish color as well. So there's 3 different colors. Gonna be honest, I'm not a big fan of any of those colors. Well, except for maybe the gray one. Well, when you look at them, they look sort of like toys, like what you'd see on some sort of a Fisher-Price Toys R Us product. I don't know, that's just kind of what I associate those colors with. They just kind of scream, little kids toy. Which I get, it's Nintendo, and this is going to advertise to children. But, I found that really weird that the colors kind of didn't look, I don't know, they just look kind of generic, if you can understand that. I don't know, I'm not a big fan of the colors. If I were to get one, I'd probably get either the teal color or the gray one. The yellow one just looks kind of weird. Well, not really weird, just a little odd, which I guess is the same thing, but I don't know, sounds better. So, yeah, really the biggest thing about the Switch Lite is that it's not dockable. You can't attach it to an actual Switch dock. You can't play in TV mode. So that's really the main reason I'm not going to be buying one, because I don't play my Switch really at all in handheld mode. The only time I've ever done that was when I was on a cruise a couple months ago. Excuse me, I just kind of had it with me, and because couldn't really connect it to the TV that we had in our room. So, I'm not really big into handheld gaming, especially when I can just attach the system to, something that'll display on a TV. So for me, the handheld only thing is kind of a deal breaker. However, this is definitely going to be a selling point to certain people who prefer handheld gaming, and especially if you travel a lot, you go on vacations, and if you take public transportation like buses and stuff, which I don't do. I drive usually if I want to go someplace, so it doesn't really appeal to me. If I'm in a long car ride, usually I'd spend that time looking at Twitter, looking out the window at nature, or looking at the road so I don't get in a car wreck. So I'm not one for playing games, during long car rides. I used to be, when I was little, I'd have my Game Boy Advance with me all the time, but I'm different now. I don't really do that anymore. So, I don't know. That just isn't really gonna be a selling point for me. And, I don't know. That's just really a bummer that you can't hook it up to a TV. But you know what? If you don't really care for TV gaming, this is probably for you. So, I don't know. I guess, and especially, I think in Japan, a lot more people take public transportation, and handheld gaming is more popular there. So there it'll probably be much, more of a big deal. So for them, for the Japanese, that's probably a big, plus for them that it's handheld only. And I guess I should bring up the price. It's $200. The price of the system is going to be $200. It's $100 less than the baseline Switch, which is $300. However, you could definitely say that that's probably going to get a price cut at some point in the future. And I don't know. Imagine in a couple years when the normal Switch is $250. Then it's only a $50 price difference between the normal Switch and the Switch Lite. And the normal Switch you can attach to a TV and play on your HD television, whereas the Switch Lite is handheld only. And I guess I'll bring this part up. The Joy-Con controllers are actually attached to the system permanently. You can't detach them at all. So this is going to make playing certain games, such as Just Dance, Super Mario Party, not that you would want to play that game for any reason at all, but if you did, you'd have to go out and buy a separate Joy-Con controller, because that game in particular only supports a single Joy-Con as a controller. So that's kind of weird. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's confirmed you can connect other controllers to the system. However, there's no kickstand on it. There's no kickstand, so you'll have to find a book or something to prop it up with. So the kickstand's gone. The normal Switch's kickstand isn't that great, but it's at least nice to have. I mean, I always use it if I'm out traveling somewhere. And even though I never play in handheld mode, I'll just leave it with the kickstand up and I'll use a Pro controller. Which brings me to this point. I don't think there should be Joy-Con only games at all on the Switch. I think that's just a stupid system, and that just kind of limits, the number of people who are going to want to play it. I think all Switch games should support a Pro controller. Super Mario Party, there's no reason at all that shouldn't support a Pro controller. And just playing with a single Joy-Con on its side is just really awkward and just not really fun for me at all. The things you're supposed to use as bumpers are absolutely terrible. The buttons on the Joy-Cons really don't feel good. So I don't know. I don't think Joy-Con only games should exist, but they do, so there's nothing you can do about that. You just have to buy a separate pair of Joy-Con controllers, which are $60 each, so that really sucks. So Nothing you can do about that either. That just really sucks. But it is nice you can at least sync up other controllers. And if you would like to play with a Pro controller, you can do that from the sounds of it. You just can't have it displaying on your TV. Which, again, is the main reason I'm not buying a Switch Lite. It's just because I only play really in docked mode. I wouldn't be able to stream or record videos with a Switch Lite. At least not with a capture card. So that would really suck. Really, in a lot of ways, the Switch Lite's the opposite of what I've been wanting. What I've been wanting is the Switch Pro with, like, beefed up stats, or specs, I guess. A 1080p screen. Not that you need that, but it'd be cool. And, one that could support, I guess, what the hell? Just, newer games. A lot of newer games, when they get ported to the Switch, they have to be, like, watered down and downgraded, graphically or frame rates. Like, take, like, Doom, for example, is only 30 FPS, and I think it's, like, 720p on a TV. Not that that's bad for being on a Switch. I mean, it's good. You got Doom running on the Switch. That's cool. But it's still not the experience you'd get on an Xbox, on a PC, or a PlayStation, which is where I have it. So, I don't know. That just kind of really sucks, but hey, it's cool that you can do that. But, a Switch Pro, where you can have those games in a more similar state to what they are on other platforms, that'd be really cool. But that's not really what we're getting. We're getting, really, the inferior Switch. And not to mention, no detachable Joy-Cons. Technically, it's not even a Switch. You can't switch between handheld and TV play, so it's basically a Switch that doesn't switch. So I think that concept, that part of the concept is really kind of dumb. That you can't really switch between TV and handheld. I'm sure there'll be some sort of a third-party dock or something that'll make it so you can play on your TV, but officially, there's no legitimate way of doing that. So that's gonna be a big killer for a lot of people. It's a big killer for me, but again, that's just me. I'm not a handheld gamer, and I know a lot of people are, so that's good for them. But this system really just isn't for me. And also, one thing I'm afraid of is that, in Japan, a lot of people are really into handheld gaming, so a lot of people are probably going to buy this. And, this sounds weird, but I think if this system is really successful, this could start affecting the games Nintendo starts making. Like, they might start making games with handheld in mind, which I'm pretty sure is what they've already been doing with Pokemon Sword and Shield, which I don't really have a problem with. That's more of a handheld style game anyway, or it always has been. So that I'm not too upset about, but, I don't want them making the next Zelda game with a handheld mode in mind, Breath of the Wild 2 or whatever the fuck they decide to call it. I don't want that to be focused more on a handheld method of the gameplay. I want that to feel like a full-fledged console experience, like Breath of the Wild does. So I don't want this to affect the games Nintendo starts putting out so that they feel like handheld games, because I think that'll just kind of ruin it for the people that play on a normal Switch, the people who especially who stream it. It might just get kind of weird. I don't know, that might not make sense to some people, but that is a concern of mine. So that this might have a negative impact on some of Nintendo's first-party games. So hopefully that doesn't happen. And I guess what I'm trying to say is hopefully this isn't too successful. It's not like I want this thing to be a flop like the Wii U or the Virtual Boy, but I just don't want it to be like the next big thing is just a handheld-only system. And I don't want Nintendo's next big system to be like undockable, you know, and end up being like the 3DS where you have to have like a $500 device installed into your 3DS so that you can use it as a capture card, or have to use one of those really shitty third-party hacks to like stream footage, like video footage to your computer. That's what I do for my 3DS, and it's laggy as shit. It's like 30 to 45 FPS at best, and it's not consistent. I don't want to have to do that with like the next Nintendo system, but I'm afraid they might go that route if the Switch Lite is like insanely popular. So I don't know, I'm kind of worried about that. I just don't want them to sabotage the next Nintendo system and just make it a handheld only. I don't know. I guess a handheld system, if they have the Switch, you know, running, you know, at the same time like the Wii U and 3DS, I guess that's fine, but at the same time, it's gonna make like capturing those games even harder. So I don't know about how I really feel about that. But I just hope it doesn't affect the future Switch games in particular, because those, you can play them on a TV. I don't want to have a handheld style game on my TV. That's just weird. I don't know. That would really be weird, you know. I just feel like, you know, it's sort of similar to what they did with like the 3DS. You know, when they made the 2DS, it was like, oh hey, it's a 3DS that doesn't have that really cool 3D feature. But the thing is, at this point, a lot of people weren't really fixated on this 3D, I guess, gimmick you'd call it. So it wasn't a huge deal at that point. But the thing with the Switch is, being able to switch between the TV and, you know, handheld mode isn't really a gimmick. That's like a huge thing. That's like the main thing with the Nintendo Switch, is that you can use it as a home console and a handheld. So I don't know, that'd just be a little bit, I don't know, man. I'm just saying, I don't want this to have a negative impact on like future games, systems, or really on the regular Switch. I do want to eventually see a Switch Pro. I think that could be really cool, having, you know, beefier stats, you know, even 4K quality, which will probably never happen, but or at least not with the Switch, but, you know, it'd be cool to see it at least. I don't know if I'd even buy that. I know I said I wanted a Switch Pro, but even that, I'm not sure if I would actually buy that, since I have a perfectly functioning Switch now. And, I don't know, unless they started making it so that you had to buy one to play certain games, which would be pretty scummy and shitty, but, you know, unless they did that, I think I'd just stick with my normal Switch. So, that's just me. I don't think I'm gonna be, I know for a fact I'm not buying a Switch Lite, but I might also not even buy a Switch Pro unless there's really a good reason to do it. Or even, I mean, even if there's more features to it, then I could, you know, get one, transfer all my data, hopefully, and then just use that as my normal Switch, and then sell my original one. So I don't know. I plan on keeping my normal Switch indefinitely, but if that somehow happens that I'm convinced enough to buy a Switch Pro, which we don't even know if that's going to happen for sure or not, but hopefully it does. That'd be really cool to see. But yeah, I mean, that's really my thoughts on the Switch Lite. I'm not buying one, to answer your question. No, I'm not buying one at any point, probably. But I think it is a cool concept. I think it is a pretty cool system. And I don't think it's a bad system at all. Or that it's going to be. It's obviously not out yet. I think it comes out sometime in September. It comes out with Zelda, Link's Awakening. And I think they said there was going to be a Pokemon edition of the Switch Lite. I almost want to say that there should be a Zelda Link's Awakening edition, since it's coming out, I think, the same day as Zelda. So that would be kind of cool if it was themed after it, or if they made a model that was themed after Zelda. But I don't know. I still wouldn't buy it, even though I love the Zelda franchise. But the Switch Lite really just isn't for me. I'm not the market for it. I'm not a handheld gamer. I prefer playing console and controller. So, you know, there's nothing really better than just playing an HD Nintendo game on your beautiful HD TV, even though mine's like 10 years old. It still looks great when I play newer games on it. And so, even though they'll look probably great on the Switch Lite, I don't know. I don't think it's for me. I know it's not for me. So, no, not going to be buying one. And also, one thing, it's going to be obviously smaller than the normal Switch. So that kind of concerns me. What about, you know, an adult with like really big hands? It'd probably be really awkward and uncomfortable to play on a Switch Lite if it's really small. And even I don't even really have big hands. Mine are pretty normal, I'd say. So, I don't know. I find the Joy-Cons a bit awkward to play with anyway, as they are. So, I don't know. Don't know how I feel about the size of it either. But, you know, a Switch Pro is what I'm leaning more towards. I'd like to see it beefier stats. I'd like to see it more powerful. Hopefully better resolution. Even though the 1080 on TV is fine, it'd be cool if they could make 4K games for it. You know, like what they do with the PS4 Pro. And, you know, I just think that'd be really cool if they did that. But, I guess they're not going to be doing that with the Switch anytime soon. Which also, that brings up another fact. They completely lied, like a couple months ago, when they said they were not going to be releasing any new Switch models. They said, oh, we don't plan on announcing any new Switch models. We all knew that was a flat-out lie from the very start, because Nintendo always does revisions of their systems, and pretty much every system's been doing that since, like, the 90s. You know, you had, like, the Super Nintendo Mini, you know, smaller than the normal model, but, you know, it was just smaller. And they've been doing that with the Game Boy, a lot of Game Boy models. So it was pretty inevitable that they were going to do a revision of the Switch. So I don't know why they tried to convince us they weren't going to. It was an obvious lie. We all knew Nintendo was lying that entire time. So and they pretty much proved themselves to be a bunch of liars. And not really knocking them for that, but I don't get why they tried lying about that. We all knew it was a lie. Like, why not just come out and say, we'll speak about this in the future? Why not just say that? Instead of making yourself look like you're full of shit. I just think that's kind of dumb that they did that. But that's just me, and yeah, I don't know. There was something else I was gonna bring up. Shit, what was it? I don't remember. Oh yeah, and obviously I think they're gonna have to make a Switch Pro, actually. Just because eventually the Switch is gonna be competing with, like, the Xbox 720, Xbox 2, whatever the fuck they're gonna call that thing. Actually, I think there is a name for it. I don't know. Whatever. If they, you know, it's going to be competing with the Xbox and the PS5. So, if they don't bump the stats up, like the Switch right now, I don't even think it's barely as powerful as the baseline PS4. And that might, you know, sway people to buy a PS5 over a Nintendo Switch, you know? If there's not a beefier Switch with better stats, I think that might hurt Nintendo. You know, not in a big way, but at least a little bit. I don't know. That's my thoughts. Those are my thoughts on the Nintendo Switch Lite. I think the name's great. I think the concept is great. I'm just not the type of person to lean more towards handheld gaming. I'm more of a console gamer. I prefer console, TV, controller. That's just me. And that's my stance on the Switch Lite. I'm not going to buy one, but I don't think it's a bad system at all. And that's pretty much that. Right as I post this video, I'm actually going to be going live on Twitch not too long from now. If you click on my channel, you'll find a link to my Twitch channel. So go over there, check me out if I'm live. I'm going to be streaming some Super Mario Galaxy 2. It'll be the second part of our live Let's Play of that. And it should be a pretty fun time. So stop on by, say hello, chat it up in the chat, and have a good time. So I'm going to sign off right now. I'm actually going to bed right after I edit this. And I'll see you all tomorrow. So have a good night. Peace.